Hey, what's up everyone? Bobby from RepairShopr, and it's that time of the week again. It's Featured Friday time. This week we're going to be talking about an update we made to the ticket detail screen, specifically from some new UI feedback that we got from everyone. And we're also going to be talking about ticket comments. I haven't really talked a whole lot about ticket communication since the new UI rollout, and I think it might be a good subject to cover. So, with all that said and that really long introduction, let's jump into it. So first we're going to cover the custom fields change. Some of you may already seen it, but I wanted to call it out. We moved the ticket custom fields from the left-hand column up here to the top right. This is based around some feedback had been getting from everyone that you wanted to see, the details of the ticket more easily, and you wanted to be able to save space. So we think we found a good middle ground for this. And let me add a custom field here real quick so that you can see it. And what you'll see here is more close to what the old UI had, in that custom fields has its own huge section on the ticket, and you can see all of the data within the ticket custom field that's selected and entered. The new addition on top of that, though, in order to save some space when you didn't want to look at it, is we've added the collapsibility to the custom fields section, just like we did for the worksheets. So now when you're done looking at this stuff, you can just click it. It disappears and everything gets kind of pulled up. Another side effect of moving the ticket custom fields to where it is now is we also pulled the customer information up as well. The customer information, again, feedback, people wanted greater visibility to it, so we felt like this is a good kind of like compromise with the customer data as well. We're still collecting feedback on all of this stuff, so if people have feedback about the changes that we made or the UI in general, please let us know. help@RepairShopr.com is the best place to send it so that we can get it to the right people. Alright, so ticket communications. Ticket communications largely haven't changed when the new UI swapped over, but there were some things that did change a little bit, and there are a ton of new folks with us, so let's talk about that. The way the system is set up by default, before you've done any kind of tweaking in the ticket settings, which we'll go into, the system is built to communicate directly with customers and have them reply back to you all within the ticket so that you don't have to go to other places. This particular system's been customized a little bit, and again, we'll show you in the settings, but we brought the two communication boxes from the old UI into the new one to save space based on feedback, and we added this drop-down toggle. And you'll see here, when you have a ticket that has a customer associated and has a valid email address and an SMS, there's a ton of options here. We always promote communicating with your customers through email, so if I were to select email, anything you typed into this body and hit the email button would send to the customer. It would also show up down here as what we call public comment. What that means is if you include ticket comments on any PDFs, it would be visible, and it's also visible on the customer portal. Now, if you didn't want to email, but you still wanted it to be public on the portal and available on a PDF, you could select public note, and it will do exactly what I just described previously, except it won't also email. Now, the customer can reply to emails, and their replies, as long as they don't modify the subject, if they just hit the reply button, will come directly back into the ticket. So what if you want to leave a note that you don't necessarily want visible to the customer? We have something called private notes, and you're in a private note because you'll have this kind of like notepad yellow, not sure what it's actually called, but this yellowish background. These notes are never visible to the customer and are only visible on a ticket by the technician. So it's never emailed to the customer, it's never visible on the customer portal, and it cannot be printed out onto any documentation. It's only visible when viewing it through the application. And again, you can see here it has a yellow background to denote the difference between a public note and a private note. Now, some of you may have also seen we have an SMS option as well. So as long as you're in a place where SMS is a valid communication option, we have a knowledge base article that shows all the countries that we can use SMS with. you can send text messages to your users directly from the ticket, and they can reply, and those responses will behave just like emails. They can come back in as ticket comments, and they'll be listed here, and you can reply to those and all of that. So something else that was recently added as well is this additional CCs section. While it's been here, we've done some additional work. So it's pretty common that, especially if you're working with a business, you may want to communicate with somebody else in addition to the person that opened the ticket. Well, that's where additional CCs comes into play. Another really often used aspect of this is if you wanted a second technician or somebody else in your shop to stay up to date on what activity is happening on the ticket. Well, to do that, all you need to do is click this button here and then click in and start to enter the email. And it's as simple as that. If you have a technician email, it'll pop up like it just did here. You click that and hit submit, and the page will refresh, and that technician has been added to all ticket communications moving forward. One way of telling the difference between a technician email address and just a random customer email address is the technician's emails will be in bold so that you can tell at a glance if another tech is connected or if it's another customer. That is something that is recent, and I wanted to make sure and call it out for everyone. Alright, so we've talked about all the ways to communicate on a ticket, but maybe you don't want your system to default to email, or maybe you don't want it to email out the initial comment. Heck, maybe you just want private comments to be visible and you just want to note that stuff there. Well, you can change the behavior for all of that. So to do that, hit More, click Admin, and then go to Ticket Preferences. Once you're on the Ticket Preferences screen, hit Advanced and scroll down a little bit, and you're going to have 5 options rather. But specifically, if you don't want the first ticket email to go out when you open a ticket, you're going to want to enable Tickets Do Not Email Initial Issue by default. The next option, Ticket Comments Do Not Email Comments by Default. What that means is any public comment will not also email the customer, but will remain a public comment. So basically, if you don't want your customer to be emailed every time you leave a public note, this is the option you want. The next one, ticket comments default to internal instead of external. What this means is your tickets will default to the private note. Means that any communication entered by default will not go out to the customer and will not be visible to the customer. Some businesses asked for all internal communication only and that they wanted to maybe communicate by phone or SMS. This is the option for those businesses. You can feel free to intermix these as you see fit. Just remember, whenever you make a change here, hit Save all the way at the bottom, and your options will be saved. Wow, that was a lot. I'm surprised I got through all of that in a single take. Anyhow, if you have questions or feedback, please let us know. help@RepairShopr.com. If you're still watching this, I really appreciate your attention. And if you have an extra moment, hit like on the video if you liked it. I want to know if we're doing the right kind of content for everyone. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great weekend. I'll see you in the next one.